Hi everyone, welcome to our last webinar in the Science Pathways series focused on kinesiology. My name is Zainab Majid and I'm the head of the Logistics Committee at the Auxi Project. This event is a collaboration between the Auxi Project, an organization focused on offering academic support to students and connecting youth with opportunities to help them excel in post-secondary and beyond, and the Major Workshop, a student-run organization dedicated to helping youth discover their passion and decide on a major after high school. I'm pleased to welcome our speakers today, Simran and Maya. Simran is in her fourth year of her kinesiology degree at the University of Calgary. She loves to write poetry and go to the gym. Maya is a recent UBC graduate who is wanting to pursue medical school. Throughout the webinar, please feel free to drop any questions you may have in the chat to be addressed by our speakers. The webinar will be recorded and uploaded to our website, YouTube, and Instagram. With that, I'll hand it over to our speakers to introduce themselves further, beginning with Maya.
Hello. All right, so yeah, just like was said, I just graduated from kinesiology at UBC, so kind of starting a gap year or two that I'm looking for to kind of pursue my hobbies, kind of look into my creative side, and then I want to pursue medical school.
And Simran, you can introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Simran. Just like Zainab mentioned, I'm going to be graduating next year. Just like Maya, I'm also wanting to pursue medical school, and I'm interested in specifically a holistic approach of medicine and exercise medicine. And yeah, I'm a very artistic person as well, and I enjoyed pursuing my hobbies during my downtime.
That's good to know. So our first question is for Maya. So what is the kinesiology program like at UBC?
So at UBC, I just also want to say that I was in the kind of like the tail end of the older program, but I do have a sister who's in the very beginning of the new program. They kind of revamped the kinesiology program. Nothing like crazy, but I think it's much better now. So I like the changes that they did. They kind of added a little bit more physiology and kind of made everything. Okay, I can explain later, but I just want to let everyone know. So at UBC, I really like that the KIN program, you can tailor it to whatever you're interested in. So in the first couple of years, 2 years, you have a lot of required courses, but these courses are very broad. So you have to take like sports psychology, health policy and sociology, anatomy, physiology, and there's a bunch of other stuff like research methods, statistics, stuff like that. And so from all those courses, you get not only like a more well-rounded degree and maybe try something that you wouldn't have thought that you were interested in, but you get to kind of explore other things that you might want to take in your degree. So for me, I kind of tailored my degree to be more anatomy and physiology wise, with a little bit of sociology, which I never would have known in high school that I would have been interested in. But you can definitely make your degree more like behavioral, sociology, and health policy, stuff like that, or more on like the sports side of things, or you can make it more about like the neurology, anatomy, physiology of movement, or biomechanics. Like there's a bunch of stuff that you can do. But because there's a lot of courses, you can decide which kind of path you'd like to take. And so each course, like each degree of kin from UBC, I find is very different from the other. Okay, and I have another point. I also want to talk about the community at UBC. So the KIN program is kind of unique in a way that it's very I think in each year there's about 100 and something. So it's not super small. I think maybe around 150, I'm not sure. But it's not the smallest, but compared to other faculties like the science faculty that has like thousands, then or 1,000 or something like that, it's much smaller. And then because of that, I don't know why, but everyone's very like high energetic, very outgoing, and it's really easy to make friends. And something that's really funny is that, we call it like the community, and you stay like connected. There's a bunch of puns. I don't know why, but UBC can love puns. So you can prepare yourself for that.
That's good to know. Okay, it's also good to know that you can customize your degree because I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, so the first 2 years, a lot of mandatory courses, and then the third and fourth year or fifth year, depending on how long you take. I took 5 years. You can choose more what you're interested in and make it kind of more unique to yourself.
Okay, that's good to know. Our next question is for Simran. I kind of asked you this before, but what is the kinesiology program like at UC?
So similar to UBC, Kin is a 4-year, traditional is a 4-year degree, but you can take however long you wish to take. We basically have 5 majors that you can choose from. One's biomechanics, one is exercise physiology, we have sports psychology. They just recently changed the name of it. It's like it's not called mind sciences anymore. It's a broader spectrum. I don't exactly remember though. There's leadership and pedagogy, and there's general kinesiology. So similar to UBC, the first 2 years you take courses from every single major, and you have a bunch of elective options to explore your degree, and then you can build on how you want to pursue a major. You don't even have to claim a major. You can claim a major if you like. I'm doing general kinesiology. But because I'm interested in a lot of the psychology aspects, I add in a lot of psychology courses, for example, or sports psychology courses. I think one thing about UC's KIN program, I mean, I'm not going to say anything like, but it is one of the best programs in North America because it's very research focused as well. Like we have a really good research community, and a lot of the profs are phenomenal researchers, and like they have done groundbreaking work. And we have obviously have our laboratory in the kinesiology building where a lot of this research takes place. So there's a lot of scope to join research at UFC in kinesiology, exercise physiology, and biomechanics are some of the big ones. Like they're very popular. There's a lot of work that's being done in the sociology of sport and psychology of sport as well. And then there's a lot of work being done in technology as well. So one big thing a lot of our profs do here is wearable technology. So if you're interested in that, we have a lot of professors who work in wearable technology, and that's sort of like one of the bigger interests of a lot of students. Our kin community is also very tight. I'm not sure if UBC participates in this, but we do kin games, and
Yeah.
I assume they do because every kinesiology program in Canada participates in kin games. So kin games happen every year, and they're hosted by different universities across Canada. And you enter as a team of like 10 to 15 students, and you get to travel there and participate and compete against other kinesiology students in like sports and like just fun games. And you get to network a lot with a lot of kines students. It's, I think, one of the biggest highlights of kinesiology. And as Maya mentioned, kin students tend to be very outgoing and loud and fun. And so it's not at all difficult to make friends. Everyone is so welcoming. I have never met such a welcoming sort of community. As I said, it's pretty small, so you know a lot of people and get to know them quite fast. And the professors are just phenomenal. Like they will know you by first name most of the time, so it's great. Yeah, I would really recommend it.
That's awesome. It sounds like kinesiology is a really amazing major. So the next question is for Maya. Why did you decide that you wanted to pursue medicine, and how does your kinesiology background help with your future goals?
Mm-hmm. So personally for me, I have like some chronic health and chronic pain issues. And so I've been in like the healthcare system, and like I've met up with a lot of healthcare practitioners throughout the years. And I've kind of discovered that like as a patient, I didn't like some of the things like that was done and some of the ways that I was treated. And so, instead of kind of waiting for the system to do it itself, I kind of wanted to go in and, like I'll do it myself. And so maybe I can be kind of more of that welcoming and like Simran mentioned, holistic kind of approach for patients. Like maybe I can be that doctor for other people so that they don't have to go through the similar experience that I did. So that kind of started my interest in medicine. And then I was talking earlier about how I liked Bio 12. And after I took Bio 12, I was like, wow, the human body is so cool. It's so awesome. And so for me, it kind of just went well together to go into medicine. And I kind of started forming some goals that I would like to achieve, at some point in my life. And those were or are that I kind of want to help bring more healthcare into the like public school curriculum for like high school students and maybe elementary, just because everyone has a body. And so I think that it's very important to understand at least basically how it works, right? The most basic level. And it's really surprising. I think a lot of people who aren't in a healthcare field have no idea like how their body works. And so I think that'd be really helpful. And then I also want to kind of open a more holistic clinic that incorporates kind of more, Eastern, maybe traditional medicine, where you also are looking at the whole body instead of looking at the body like a machine. You're treating it like it's all working together. You have mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical. And I think stuff like that is very important, but is not incorporated at all into like the tradition, like into Western medicine, right? And so I feel like opening a clinic that does have those expectations is also something I really want to do. And I feel like I can achieve those two goals from going into medicine. But I also think that you could probably achieve them from going into something else. So it's just kind of one of the avenues that I just happen to choose.
Yeah, those are very valid reasons to pursue such a demanding career. The next question is for Simran. What is your biggest advice or things that you wish you knew earlier about the kinesiology program?
Sure. Before I move on, I just want to say, Maya, like that's pretty much my vision of medicine too. So I feel like I found understands what I'm trying to talk about, but
we can work together.
so we can. But sorry, the question was like, what's my advice going into kinesiology, correct?
Yes.
Oh, that's a hard one. I would say have fun. This degree is fun. Like it has a lot of scope. Like a lot of people go into kinesiology thinking it's a good pre-med degree, which it is. It is a very good pre-med degree, but there is so many pathways you can take. And when I was in my first year, I didn't really even know much of it. But as I grew older and now I'm nearing the end of my degree, I like have dug that hole and I've found so many pathways that you can take this degree to and explore. Like I would say explore it. Don't be afraid like to take a class that's like out of the norm, like there's stuff in kinesiology which is very specific. Like for example, I'm not sure how it works at UBC, but UC we have special topics courses which you can do in your third and fourth year, and they're just random topics. Like I'm taking one called pediatric physiology. Like this is just the most randomest thing out of nowhere. Like there's no like correlation to the rest of your degree, but you can learn about kinesiology in special contexts that way. And you can, as she said, you can carve your degree, you can carve your career to the way you want. So I think that's the best thing about kinesiology is how open your options can become as soon as you pursue it. And yeah, like go in with an open mind. And I feel like I've had a lot of friends who entered kinesiology with like they want to be somewhere and that's only where they want to be, but then they take the degree and they're like, you know what, I actually like doing X thing better or Y thing better. And it's a degree which really like tests your mind and opens up your mind. And yeah, I think that's my biggest advice. Have fun and just be open to new things that come your way.
That's great advice for anyone who wants to go into any program, really be open-minded. So the next question is for Maya. What is the workload and difficulty like for UBC kinesiology?
Right. So, I mean, it definitely depends on like what courses you're taking and maybe like the kind of expectations you have for yourself and, your performance in your degree. If you kind of just want to go and cruise by and you just want to graduate, you're going to have a different experience and a different workload than someone who's trying to maybe maintain like a really, really high GPA, right? Or if you're trying to explore extracurricular activities, you're not going to have as much time to dedicate towards your studies, So it's something that I feel like is very, very variable. Like I minored in bio, but you could also, if you weren't minoring, then your workload might also be different. So that's a really difficult question, but I can say that just kind of like any other degree, I'm assuming kinesiology at UBC does have, some courses that require more attention and some courses that maybe are more, you go to absorb and you go to discuss and talk, and maybe you have less of a workload outside of the actual classroom time, right? So I think there's a good balance of them, and you can like maybe talk to like older students or other your peers that have already taken the courses to see what kind of workload each individual course has, and then when you build your program, like your schedule for each year, you can kind of try and balance it out between courses that maybe will require more attention or more studying, and then with other ones that are a little bit more different.
Okay.
Sorry, it's kind of a difficult answer, a difficult question, but I would say a significant amount, but it's nothing that people can handle.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. And then Simran, I know this was a while ago, but do you remember what the transition from high school to university was like?
Yeah, that was a while ago, but I do actually. So I went to a charter school, so I went to FFCA. So my school was very good at preparing students for university. So our classes were a little harder than a public school would potentially have, according to what I was told. Our expectations were already as if we were university students back while we were in grade 12. So a lot of it was figure it out yourself first, talk to your peers before you come to the teacher kind of style of work, right? So I think that really helped me transition into university, because in university you have first year your class sizes are huge, like you'll have 200 kids in the class, right? So it's really hard for your professor to spend one-on-one time with you in class, as it, or in high school if you have a class of 25, like everyone's working, they can come talk to you or come help you out, right? It's very different that way. But kin profs at UFC are have from first year my first year, they've been super super nice. And one thing I'll tell students is utilize open hours. Like utilize profs open hours, set up meetings with them. They want to help you. And if you just go to their office hours, they will spend hours with you teaching you something you don't understand. They cannot do that in class because they have to move ahead with everything. But outside of class, if you just approach the professor, and they like seeing students who take initiative and then they know who you are, which is really beneficial for you in your degree. For whatever reason, if you want to get into research, or if you want to, pursue research with that particular prof, or if you want a reference letter in the future, stuff like that. It's very, very beneficial to make good relationships with your professors, professional relationships with your professors. Sorry, I'm gonna put that out there.
Yes.
But yeah, so like I remember utilizing office hours. I was struggling in a few classes, and I would spend my evenings or afternoons whenever the professor had time. I would spend it at their office, and I would learn the material one-on-one with them, or sometimes there'll be a group of students and it'd be like a question answer sort of thing, and you'd learn from other people's gaps of knowledge as well, emailing professors. So that's like the more academic side. That's what helped me transition. In terms of course load, university is not all that different from high school. It's about time management, and you learn that as your first semester. Most of the time students do struggle. I struggled as well my first semester, my first year, because you're learning how to not have constant teacher, blabbling at you, finish this is due tomorrow, this is due that day. Like your professors are not going to tell you that. Your schedule is online, you find it yourself, you figure it out, you put it on your calendar. Like there's very minimal teacher guidance, in terms of they're trying to develop independent students. So in your first year, in your first semester, you might struggle with time management, but that's okay. It's okay to know, because everyone else is too. They might not show it to you, you might not see it, but I can guarantee you every student is struggling. I think Maya can back that up. Like your first year
Totally, yeah.
is always going to be like that, and it's okay. That's sort of like the academic transaction. In terms of the social life transaction, or like the campus life transaction, I think it was great. Orientation was one of the best things ever. Like I made one of my really good friends at orientation. She sat beside me, and now we're like best friends. Like, and that's true. Those stories are very true. So go to orientation. That's like one of the easiest ways to transition to university, especially if it's in person. You get to meet so many people. You get a head start. If you don't show up to orientation, you go into class expecting that you're gonna, meet someone. You will, but it might take longer. Like when you're at orientation, you already know like 10 people who were there, and you've already like established a network in one of your classes, right? And that really helps you get through not class itself, but even gives you time. You get to know new people there, and that's always great, right? Networking is always great, and making friends is always amazing. And attending a lot of events. I used to attend a lot of events, and I participated in a lot of like volunteering work. I would talk externally and join a lot of clubs. Clubs are a big one. They really help you transition into university. You meet like-minded people. Again, you make friends, you network. You meet people who think like you, who have similar passions to you. and that's always a great way to bond. So there's like a bunch of avenues on how you can transition into uni really well. But I think for academically, I would just say, like, in short, like, don't be afraid to ask for help. And then so, like, the campus life, don't be afraid to like reach out to clubs and join clubs. And I know a lot of first year students, and I've heard this personally when I was in OL, like an orientation leader. A lot of students like, oh, but clubs are so stupid and boring. I'm like, okay, you say that now, but once you start joining clubs and joining things you really like, you'll actually have so much fun. And like, those were the exact words of these students. And I'm like, you know, clubs are one of the easiest ways to meet people. So don't come in with the mindset that clubs are uncool, or like, why should I join, like, or go to this club where you dance all night long, or where you go to this club and you learn how to it's a book club, or whatever club it may be, right? Because at the end of the day, it's your interest and it's what you wish to pursue and who you wish to surround yourself with, which matters, and that's what shapes your university experience. Yeah,
That's
that was pretty long.
yeah. That's really good advice for anyone wanting to go into university, because I'm going to university soon, and I've heard like from a lot of people that join clubs, you'll find your interests, and maybe like you'll find something that you didn't know you were interested in. So it's really important to do that. And then our next question is from Maya. What does the job field look like after graduating with a bachelor's degree?
So I do want to say I've only been graduated for a few months, so I might not be the best person for this, but I do know a lot of people who have already been graduated before me, and just kind of like the job prospects with what you can do with a kinesiology degree. And I feel like because kin is so broad, right? Like kind of what I was talking about before, and what Simran was talking about before, how there's so many different avenues, right? You can go into research if you want to go to your master's and your PhD, if you want to have your own lab, if you want to become a professor, there's that route. But you can also go into health policy or in social work. You can also go into medicine, occupational therapy, physiotherapy. Those are like the very classic things that I think people typically think about. But I know a lot of people that have also gone into like nursing or into counseling, or people that have gone into like sports recreation, organizational kind of like type roles. And I did want to say that if you do want to go into that, I think UVic has, like University of Victoria, has this program called the REDS program. I think it's recreational and education. And that program is like specifically for that. So if you do want to go into that, I would highly recommend that. I have a friend in there. But I think there are so many different avenues. And I also feel like there are a lot of older adults in my life that, you know, you ask them what they're doing versus what they got their degree in. And many times it's completely different and they're completely different fields. And so I think that once you get a degree, it's really more about like persistence of what you want to do. I think, you know, if you want to be a kinesiologist, you know, having a kin degree might be helpful. But if you want to, you know, maybe pursue something that's less of one of those like stereotypical kind of employment roles, then I think you can usually get there through a lot of time persistence from many starting places, right? And so you don't need to limit yourself with kind of the job prospects. You can I feel like you can do almost anything with almost any degree, almost, you know, but especially with a kin degree.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. And then the last question is for Simran. What are your plans after graduation?
So my plans after graduation are similar. I'm trying to get into medical school as well. Similarly, I'm trying to focus my medical degree a lot on exercise medicine and holistic care. So once I go through medical school, I want to cater and build my own practice, and that focuses sort of on holistic well-being rather than traditional allopathic medicine. So yeah, that's my sort of plan. I graduate next year. I'm gonna rewrite my MCAT to do a little bit better than I did previously, and then apply to medical schools and maybe even do a master's in the meantime. I don't know. I'm not too sure yet, because I feel like that's a hard question, because time changes everything. Like, you might want one thing now, but by the end of your degree, even by the end of your 4-year degree, you might want to do something else, you know? Like, so I think, I guess, like, one last thing I would like to say, and I think I implemented this in my own life when I was going through university. It's good to have goal, like a strong goal in mind, but it's also good to like let life sort of flow through when you go through university and experience these other passions and hobbies and interests that might arise. And I know for me, it's like I always wanted the straight path. Like right in my third year, I wanted to do my MCAT. I wanted to finish my fourth year. I wanted to be in med school by next year, but that didn't happen. And now I have a year and a half where I'm out of school, and I have a good feeling of what I think I'm gonna do in that time. And like 4 years ago, Simran would have freaked out and been like, oh my gosh, I have nothing to do for a year and a half. I'm going to like get so bored. Like this is like hurting my timeline. But you know what? That's okay. And there's so much to do with your degree, as Maya said. You could pursue a master's, you could get a job with your current degree, you could there's so much you could do right now. And I think being open-minded is the best part. And I'm gonna be open-minded, I'm gonna stay open-minded, and I'm gonna see where life takes me next year. I have my goal in mind, and I know I'll get there one day, but it might just not be next year.
Yeah, that's good to know. Definitely being open-minded. That's good advice. And good luck to both of you for applying to med school. And so that concludes our webinar. On behalf of the Major Workshop and Auxi Project, I would like to thank our speakers, Maya and Simran, for taking time out of their busy schedules to make this event a success. Your answers to the questions were very insightful and informative, and we learned a lot from your experiences. We would also like to thank the audience for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.